So I'm not much of a sports person. I don't play a lot of sports and I don't watch a lot of sports, but this year was different. I got into FIFA a lot, so I watched almost every game. And I thought, this is great. I know a lot about what happened this year, but I kind of want to do like a reverse and see how, kind of like the history of FIFA, I guess. Anyway, so I decided the best way to do that is to actually look at some historical data. So I will show you where I got my data from and what I did with it. So I went to this Kaggle place, which is like a data bank, data repository. You can find all sorts of data sets. And here are the data sets I use. I actually use this third one called worldcups.csv. And what I did with it was I created like a sandbox, an Explorer page that's a web app. And I use Streamlit to create the web app. So here's the documentation. Here's a little blurb about what Streamlit is. So basically, it allows you to like deploy an interactive dashboard. So imagine instead of like exporting, I don't know, like Power BI or Tableau, you can just use Streamlit and you use Python. So yeah, it's really, really cool, pretty efficient, and also allows me to kind of avoid the whole web development altogether as well. So to run this web app, I need to call a command that says streamlit run and then point to my py file, which is my Python script file. So it looks like the streamlit run and then points to my file. And then what it'll do is it'll open a web browser and it'll be a local host. So I cannot just copy this URL to a friend and have them run it because it's hosted locally and it's also got my IP address, Anyways, so my web app is coming up, and while it opens up, I'll show you. This is my little script. It's not that robust, but here we go. So this is what it looks like. I have my header called World Cup Explorer page, and how all of this is created is kind of like how you do a markdown language. So that's how you're able to see the emojis and the different font sizes and so on. And it says this web app will enable you to explore some historical World Cup data. And then in the very top section, I have this traffic dashboard that has like a few metrics, and these aren't like live data. I just made them up. So like for local temperature, it was 67 degrees at the time of creating this, and it was roughly 10 degrees higher than what it was in the morning. And then I have developer 1, which is just me. And the metric is not green or red. It's actually gray because it's neutral. I have not cloned myself and I have not died. So I decided to make this color like muted or off. And this is how it looks. Hold on. So in Python, you can just say, you can call the .metric function and then plug in your fake data. And then for the developer account, you can say delta color off. Otherwise, by default, it's on. And if it's increasing, it's green. If it's decreasing, it's red. So I wanted to test that out. So for page visit, of course, all these page visits are me. I just made up some percentage and then said the page visit traffic got less. And yeah, it was smart enough to change it to red. Anyways, I thought that was cute. And then the next part says, please upload a file containing World Cup data. So I downloaded this from Kaggle, and it has to be this exact one because when I created the dashboard, like the visualizations and the EDA, it was on that specific file. Anyways, Now we get to the actual dashboard. On the top section here, I have a sneak peek of the table. The reason I have just a sneak peek is because while the whole table isn't that big, having just the header and a few rows of content makes it a lot cleaner. So in Pandas, you can just say df.head and then parentheses and put 2 in there. So yeah, you get the gist. You can see the column headers. You can also see what the contents are and how they're formatted and so on. So that's what I have here. Then I have some visualization. They're not, any machine learning or predictive models of any sort. It's just like an FYI. So these are just patterns that I see. So for this one, it's attendance in relationship to year. It looks like it's decreasing, but be careful. On the y-axis, the attendance is going from bottom up is actually decreasing, and then the year is increasing. So I have it sorted by time, not necessarily by attendance. But if you see it this way, actually, if you like pivot it or flip it, you'll see actually it's like going upwards, like going woo that way. Yeah, so it's kind of neat because even though as we're getting more technologically advanced, sports viewing in person is still more popular than before, and it's a steady, increase. So that's neat. Yeah, so that is that one. And then the second one was goals scored in relationship to games played. And here, on both axes, it's incrementally going up. So from bottom up, it's going from small to big, and then left to right, small to big. And then you can nearly see that perfect line from left bottom corner to the upper right corner. So yeah, my assumption was if you're going to play more, you're going to score more. I didn't do anything that said, what's your average score per game. It's just in general. I hope to see that there will be more shots scored the more experience you gain, and the more experience you gain by the games you play. So anyways, this confirms my assumption that the more you play, the more you score. So yeah, there you go. And then this third one's kind of cool. It aggregates how many shots were taken per country. So one country may make multiple shots in multiple years. They're going to make multiple shots per year, but they can also make multiple shots multiple years. So in this data set, it's only going up to 2013, but you wouldn't know that. I just thought I'd call that out. The data set is not the newest because it doesn't even include this year's data. Let's see. So for Brazil and France, they're like the strongest. And I don't have this sorted by alphabetical for country or by goals scored. So this is why you can see the horizontal bars go in and out that way. But if you just track with the longest ones, you'll see France and Brazil are one of the stronger countries, followed by Mexico and so on. And what's neat is on the right-hand side, I have this index, maybe a barometer, that shows the years. So the lighter the color, like the shade, the more recent it is, the darker the shade, the older it is. So for Brazil, they scored 171 shots in 2014, and then they scored 88 shots in 1950. So their 2014 contributes more goals toward their aggregate goals of both years, 2014 and 1950. Yeah, and actually if you just focus on France and Brazil, their most recent years, they're scored really similarly, 171, exact, and 171. And then France scored 84 in 1938, which is just a little under the 1950 88 shots by Brazil. Anyway, so that's kind of cute. I have a little survey here that actually doesn't really do anything with your response. I don't have it saved anywhere, but it asks Did you enjoy the sandbox? You can say yes or no. What's cool is this part is dynamic. Like if it says you selected, and based on what you selected, it will tell you what you selected. It's the details. So yeah. And then I have this part where it says thanks for your input, and that's the end of that. Super simple, super clean. Yeah, so